In this box, there's everything you need to have to improve your board gaming experience just in 5 minutes. So let's go over all the contents of it and I'll explain how you can implement all of these things. So let's pull out the first thing, which will be homemade player aids. All modern board games should come with player aids, and some have really good ones. Beautiful looking player aids like these will help you with all the actions and to remember all the details about the rules. But some games, even modern ones, don't come with player aids. I'm looking at you, Primal Awakening. So boot up your good old computer and go to BoardGameGeek.com. And here find the game that you're looking for example, War of the Ring, or you could also write the best board game of all time. And here is a file section, you click on that, and you will find that the fantastic users of Board Game Geek have actually already played rule summary, reference sheets, and so on. Just click on a PDF that you enjoy, print it out, and voila, you already will have a player aid. Since we're done with printing out and creating our own player aids, we can move on to the next hack. So let's pull it out. Laminator. Laminator is actually a really cheap way how to preserve your board games. For example, whenever you have roll and write games that have sheets that will run out, for example, this is literally the last page that I have, you can take it out, laminate it, and you will have never-ending supply of sheets. If your game has paper score sheets, you can laminate those too, which means your game will stay fresher. If after a while you want to sell it, the score sheets will still be there. Take out one score sheet, place it inside the laminating paper like this. Most of the 5 minutes are actually wasted here waiting while the laminator does his thing. But other than that, it's really quick and not painful at all. And you will have beautiful looking score sheets in unlimited supply. Another huge benefit of laminating your roll and writes is that while traveling, you won't need to take these bulky things with you. You'll just need to take the 2 laminated sheets, a marker, and that's it. Let's go. And while we are at the subject of roll and writes, you can actually purchase some clipboards, so you can place these sheets right on top of them. Whenever somebody agrees to play roll and write with me, I'm in alert state finding the closest book I can find so he can place it underneath and it's easier to write. But if you always have a clipboard handy right next to your board game collection, well, this solves this problem altogether. This baby costs just around 25 euros and you can get 100 pouches for less than 10 euros, so it's a really good investment in your board gaming future. So let's talk about rules. Rules are the painful part of board games, and this simple thing can help with that. Whenever I'm learning rules, I have sticky notes right next to me, because sometimes there are some tricky rules, some exceptions or numbers that I will probably forget to tell the players. So I just add a sticky note right there, write down whatever that is, rule number 5. So now whenever I teach the game, I know this is the exact place where I can find that exception or the thing that I always will forget. It's 21st century, Yanis, what sticky notes? I like computers. Don't worry, I have you covered as well, Mr. Stranger, because you can actually use the modern technologies and AI to recheck the rules. There is a thing called Notebook LM, where you can upload the rulebook and then ask the computer to answer any of your questions. For example, how does this action work? What does this icon mean? And so on and on. And you can find all the rulebooks on Board Game Geek. It's an app where you can upload PDF files, and then whenever you're playing the game, open it up, for example, Eon's Trespass, and you can ask it any questions based on the rulebook you uploaded. For example, how do you draw obol cards? It generates a very detailed answer, but actually if you jump to the bottom, there always will be like a small summary of it all. So these are 2 very different ways how you can recheck the rules. Either use sticky notes or Notebook LM. Something quite obvious, but you definitely need some trays for tokens. I guarantee you there is something very useful lying around your house. To prove it, I haven't checked my own refrigerator, but I know there should be something I could use. For example, I have this leftover soy sauce. You just drink it, or rather clean it out. And these are super useful because whenever you have these tokens, you can now pass them around easily. Everybody can access the tokens and they won't be scattered around the whole table. Yanis, I'm too fancy for reusing things. What will all my book club people think about me? Well, then there's two other options. For example, there are really cool boxes like these. They are called, what was it? Game trays. Pretty obvious. These are actually really fancy and cool little trays that you could use. Or there's another option where you could 3D print pretty useful things, and there's lots of them also on Etsy and so on. So anyways, there's tons of options. Pick which one you rather like, but definitely make sure you have some game trays on your table. Moving on to the next quick hack, which is buying some poker chips. And no, not for playing poker. If your board game has money as a resource, you might rather prefer to use poker chips because they're sturdier, feel better, and easier to see from the distance. At this point, for games like Brass of Birmingham, it's already considered a must-have. So, buy some poker chips. Another quickie is introducing the active player token. Every single gaming group gets into a situation where everybody forgets, who's the active player? Is it my turn? Is it yours? This little thingy? Not so little. We'll help out with that. And this works exactly how you're imagining it. Whenever I do my turn, boo, get 1,000,000 points, and then pass this around to signal, hey, now it's your turn. This might be a fluffy toy or some custom-made thing for your board gaming company, but most importantly, it will be something that will make sure there's no confusion about whose turn it is. There's still plenty of things left in the box, so let's move on to coin capsules. This one really works well if you have a game that has a lot of tokens, especially if you need to pull them out or hold them in your hand for long periods of time. You just take a token, place it inside like this, and this will make sure your tokens stay fresh for a really long time. Plus also, they will feel much better when pulling out them from the bag. And the next thing is a Ziploc bag. These things is a must-have for drug dealers and board gamers. Always have some spare Ziploc baggies at the ready and store for setup. It means that you should keep all the components that go to a single player during the setup in one Ziploc baggie. And then you can just open the box, go like, here, you go. We're ready to play. And if you want to be fancy about it, you can do what I did with my lovely War of the Ring, which is I printed out a 3D insert, which also makes the setup much easier, because if you're the bad guy, here you go. There's two ways how to make sure that your plays mean more. First thing, you can introduce a traveling trophy in your gaming group. Whoever wins the last game of the night gets a trophy to take home. It's just an honor that you can keep for a week or two and feels just really nice. And also more people will be invested because there will be higher stakes. And talk about higher stakes. Well, let's talk about why I have a pen inside this box. For this we need to bring Clever back to the table, because in our household, whoever wins a game of Clever gets to write his high score on the board game box. This of course goes for the games that are keepers in your collection and you won't sell, but it generates such high stakes for the board games that you just immediately want to go back in. You want to get that adrenaline rush. What I said. If you decide to store your games vertically like this, it's a good idea to put a rubber around it like this. And that way the components won't fall out. Another solution you can use are actually magnets. There is a company called Walls Up that actually sponsored one of our videos, not a sponsor now, but we still use their products and you can find them useful as well. There are these magnets right here that make sure the lid stays closed. Pretty great for games that tend to fall out all the time, like Imperium Horizons. But that solution is pretty expensive and there's actually a cheaper way. There are these Velcro dots that aren't that expensive as well that you can use and also stick on the sides of the lid and then close it down. So these are some out-of-the-box ways how to make sure your components stay inside of the box. And last thing, make sure that the loser of your board gaming group always picks the next game to play. One thing that especially non-gamers dread about board games is losing at a game. But what if there's a benefit for losing? We suggest that whoever lost the last game and feels the most miserable at the table now has a little bit of joy in life picking whichever game to play next. A small incentive that makes everybody happier. So here are 12 or more things that will improve your board gaming experience. Let us know in the comments all the things you do to improve your gameplays. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you check out our Plane to Insane video where we improved War of the Ring and Cascadia and went out of our minds doing so. That's a really fun one. And be sure to like and subscribe and support the channel because it takes a while to make these videos and your support is what makes sure we can continue doing this. Thank you and goodbye.